Welcome to Late Night with Fandom, ladies and gentlemen, our free Patreon preview for the month of March. And tonight we are going to be diving in to Star Wars Andor, Season 1, Episode 3. For me, this is where the series really took off. Um, I can't remember if the planet is called Aldani that they go to next, but really love that 3 episode arc and how they pay it off at the end. Um, and the third episode of this opening arc, I think, is really good too. Although I haven't seen it in a very long time. Um, Randy, I'm going to go to you first. Um, I'm assuming you took the time to brush up on the first 2 episodes. Um, One, do you remember really digging episode 3? And what were your thoughts on rewatching the first couple episodes again in the series?
So going back, I still my thoughts didn't change with it. I felt like um, a lot of the story it was just it was slow paced. It was getting to know characters. It was just the stuff that usually happens with when you're introducing someone you really don't know much about. And honestly, when you think about it, we didn't know a whole lot about Cassian anyway in Rogue One. So I understood the reasons why they did what they did. But yeah, I remember episode 3 really being the one that kind of was like, oh, okay, here we go. Because then just things kind of took off, and there's some episodes that I was just like, okay, this is some of the stuff I knew happened in the Star Wars galaxy, but I needed to see, especially when it came to the Empire.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a reign of evil, if you will, on every level, and this show really dives into that. Johnny, you've brushed up on the first 2 episodes. You've been vague about your disliking of the first 2 episodes the first time you watched it through. I had messaged you not long ago saying I just rewatched the first 2 episodes, and even I had to say, you know what, they're not great, which is not a good starting point. So I don't know how much you're actually going to get won over at this point. I'm kind of expecting you not to. We know you're hosting our Andor season 2 coverage. Um, I will say this: out of the first 2 episodes, the part I like the most is where we start, where he's at the very um, Blade Runner like cantina, and he's looking for his sister, and he runs into the crooked cops, similar to Daredevil, and that shit goes down. Love that sequence. I think it's by far and away the best sequence in those first 2 episodes. Um, were you able to get anything at all rewatching this?
Not really. Um, the like I said, the first two episodes, I looking back was able to actually remember the moment where I pieced out in the second episode. I
Which was what?
I can't remember the specifics of this moment. It was Cassian and when he was trying to get the details from the robot from the droid about the girl being there, like when he just missed her, he just missed the message. When the droid sort of popped up when he was there, and she was looking for you. She was here. So message, your comms were down. That sequence.
Mhm.
I That's the point where I pieced out the first time. Right, I
Oh,
remember
on the
why.
ship. Okay.
Yeah, I remember piecing out there. I remember why, because my mind went back to the same place. That moment reeked of the Batman Superman Martha scene to me. Like just the fake emotion from Cassian. Like it just I didn't feel emotion there. I just felt that, which reminded me of the "How do you know that name?" sequence from Batman v Superman, and
What's
that's
the
why
droid's name
that's why I
again?
pieced
Like,
it.
I might
Oh,
love this
I couldn't tell
series,
you.
but I'm not great at remembering names because I've only watched it the one time through. But
I don't remember his name.
there's a scene in episode 2 where his adopted mother um, knows he's lying, knows he's wanted, And I thought it was like, this is what I think Tony Gilroy's so good at, is grounding things in reality, where like he's clearly bullshitting her. Tell me that none of the three of us have been in the position when we were maybe not Cassian's age, but much younger, where you're talking to one of your parents and you're lying through your teeth, and you just know that they know you're full of shit. I thought that scene was a lot of fun.
We've definitely all been there for sure.
All right, well let's get this on the go. I'm gonna have my volume up. I'm not gonna keep it down, so I'm gonna be muted whenever I'm not talking. Um, for those that are watching with us, we are starting at 209 of episode 3, season 1 of Andor. We'll see if it wins Johnny over at all, but I think you need to be willing to be won over to get one over, and I feel like he's already closed the door on it, but we'll see. Let's have
I
some fun with
agreed to
this.
redo it. That's as far as I'm reopening the door.
Well, you're not redoing it. This is your first time
Well,
seeing this episode, so
I agreed to give it a second chance. That's the furthest I'm opening the door. They got to kick it open for me to keep it open.
I think we need to get to episode 6 before it fully gets kicked open. But yeah,
Well, they got to kick it open at least. Stick a foot in the door frame so I can't close it again.
all right, here we go. On 3, 2, 1, play. Forgot to mention this on our Daredevil talk earlier, and the first couple of episodes of Andor are as long as Daredevil, but um, boy, what you can do when you give shows either one, an appropriate amount of episodes, or two, proper run times for characters to develop.
Oh, absolutely.
Someone better let Ray know Cassian stole her stick. That dude doesn't look healthy. Makes me feel a lot better about myself.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the name of the backwater planet this is, but yeah. Honestly, if we were that age, I could almost see us doing something like that. Because especially if we've never seen anything like that, I could see us exploring as kids. I could see us exploring a ship like this.
Yeah, some days I feel like doing that to a mirror.
Most days for me. This scene here reminds me a lot of Jedi Fallen Order. Just a ship construction yard.
I mean, it's not far off when you think about it, considering the timeline.
Yeah, at this point right here, we're what, 5 years out from A New Hope. I dig their relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I did notice that like this the one thing that Cassian was always good at was being able to survive and get to get to good relationships with people. That was always something I really that was kind of neat about him, even if he was kind of I guess a scoundrel would be the best way to describe his character to start.
Is there anything Skarsgård is bad at? Because he's definitely one of the driving forces behind this show.
Everything I've ever seen him in, he's always done well, regardless if it's a shit script or movie. He's always been a standout part in anything I've ever seen him in.
Based on the family, I'm going to say the pull-out method.
That is very fair. That is very fair.
I do like the idea that the Empire has um, subsidiaries that take care of planets that they don't give a shit enough about.
I mean, that was the only way they were going to do that. The galaxy is just too vast for them to go to some small planet and expect to have control over it. It always made sense to do something like that.
I know Johnny's a Doctor Who person. I don't know who they are, but there's apparently a lot of Doctor Who actors in this show. Same with Game of Thrones actors.
I will say it's interesting how they seamlessly transition from like flashback to you know current time, and it's like you don't even realize it until you get a little like actually into the scene itself.
Card is such a fucking awkward motherfucker. But the actor does a tremendous job playing the role.
Yeah, it amazes me he's gotten anywhere within the empire with clearly the social awkwardness he has.
Reminds me a lot of a certain family member of mine.
some rule I've never known that is the antagonists, protagonists in Star Wars are not allowed to have a happy family.
That'd be the George Lucas rule.
That doesn't surprise me one bit if that is a real thing. But you're right. It doesn't seem like anybody ever has a happy life of any sort.
Which is so weird because he speaks so positively about his upbringing.
I mean, the closest we've seen are the kids from Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, until
that's
they learn to
accurate.
the world around them.
God, that dude's such a puke. Skarsgård just sounded like Harrison Ford there. I know they don't show it in this episode, but I love the dynamic he has with Mon Mothma.
I mean, well written, well acted, good chemistry. Yeah, it's. I do like the back and forth they have.
Kanari, that was the planet's name. Where they are now is Ferrix. Damn right, Jerry. Spot on, man. If you know really any of the ins and outs of the Empire in Star Wars, the real Empire, not just Sidious and Vader, this scene is it 101. I mean, we see the rebellion really come together in Rogue One, but this right here is really the birth of it.
I agree, 100%. I mean, you can already tell just by the way they have this little town has a system just to let people know what's going on and to help. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about how much these people just are ready to fight, but just in a different way.
That's accurate, Jerry, in terms of her presence in the movies of the original trilogy, but in terms of the literature, whether it's legends or current canon, she's way more involved in that. She plays a big part in the next couple episodes after this. What's going on, Dustin? Just watching some Andor, man. It's funny we mentioned the comparison to Jedi Fallen Order earlier. The initial uniform that Cal Kestis is wearing is very similar to the officers here.
Yep, very true. I will say that one of the things I did like about this series is even though we had an idea on some of these characters, all the brand new characters they introduced, there's everything. The threat level is there. There's always that chance of anybody can get taken out at any time, and I really liked that having that tension throughout the series.
Oh no, not Tim. Sack of shit has that coming.
I mean, how much does that have to suck to be chained to a wall and watch someone that you actually cared for just get gunned down and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it?
Welcome to the Empire, mate. And these guys are the bottom feeders of bottom feeders of it.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. And they're more accurate than stormtroopers too.
It's very clear why he's in middle management.
Yeah.
Targets just took out 2 teams, but hey, let's split up.
She has a speech later in the series that might be one of the best speeches ever given in Star Wars. Oh God. Don't do this to me, Dustin. It's amazing how bad the writing is in that movie, Dustin, and then you watch a show like this. Uh,
I like how one little explosion spooks him. It's like, surprise, bitch, we got you. The oldest trick in the book. Someone's about to have a very bad day.
understatement.
He's just thinking of all the paperwork he's has to file out now.
I like how like you can tell they have very little field experience, and it comes off that way too. We're surrounded; they're everywhere.
I never really thought about it before, but it's almost as if she knows this is the last time she sees him.
Johnny hasn't seen all the episodes.
That was kind of obvious.
Not the last time he sees her, though, if you remember.
Right. That is a really cool shot. I'm not going to lie. That is definitely the most obvious I'm fucked look I've ever seen on someone's face.
Yeah. And there you have it, Andor, season one, episode three, in the books. Um, I think that's a really good episode. Um, it's hard for me to rank it with the rest of the season because there's nine more episodes after that, and I haven't seen a lot of them in a long time. But in comparison to the first two, I think it's leaps and bounds above the first two. Randy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Because now I mean, this is one of those episodes that has to happen. It's to kind of really kick things off because the first couple episodes, it's a lot of uh, backstory, character building, introducing characters. This one really showcases how much the small planets get treated. I mean, it showcases how the small planets get treated by the Empire and reasons for the rebellion beginning. And it gives us a clear indicator of, you know, just, how bad the Empire can really be to some degree. Obviously, we got other episodes to go where they're even worse. But this little bit just is like a small glimpse, and it really kind of helps sets the tone for just how serious and dark this show can get, and just how it shapes Cassian to and ultimately begin to shape Cassian into what we get to see in Rogue One.
Yeah, there's definitely more of that gets put on display when Andy Serkis's character comes into the show.
One of my favorite characters in the series too.
Yeah, no, it's not Snoke. People, no one who hasn't seen it get alarmed. It's not Baby Snoke. It's a completely different character. But yeah, I think it's a really good episode. And if you were to compare Andor to the Power Rangers, this level of Empire security would be like the Putty Patrol. So,
That's one way to put it.
all right, Johnny, give us a couple minutes of feedback here on what you thought and where you think it might be going.
Well, I mean, infinitely better than the first two episodes. Infinitely. Um,
Somewhat
it's
surprised you're saying that. I
that
I
it's infinitely
expected you to
better than
come
the
up
first two.
here.
No, that's just such a low bar that really anything could be better than the first two episodes. Um,
Ouch.
but no, I mean,
Hey, pal, we seen the rise of Skywalker. I got news for you.
still better than those first two episodes. Uh, no, I mean it's you got more. I don't want to say story in this episode, but you got more progress in this episode. With really getting Skarsgård's character into the story now, you're starting to get into that intrigue, and you're starting to question things, and you're starting to see a bit more storytelling that isn't just, I don't want to say obvious, but to a certain degree obvious, and you're getting an element of storytelling that you didn't get in the first two episodes. Um, you get a bit more backstory on Cassian's, how he ended up where he is from where he started, which, don't get me wrong, it still falls under the category of I didn't ask for this,
Oh,
but
very much so.
at least you're getting something from it. Yeah, it's not just, well, you didn't ask for this, so here's something that's also boring. There's at least some degree of intrigue in his story being, basically on the level of the Ewoks as far as culture goes. Like it's it's interesting to me, sort of seeing him as someone who was ripped out of his culture, his family, all of that, and dropped into the imperial society that we know. Like it's interesting. I can't say that I care about it too much, because it's backstory I didn't ask for. I don't need that depth of Cassian's backstory. Cassian intrigues me because he is sort of the good guy with the blade, you know? He is he is the good guy that does all the bad things that are necessary for the good guys to prevail.
Yeah, very much the beginning
I
of Rogue
like that
One.
about him. I would rather not learn that level of detail on his backstory, you know?
Well,
I would
do you
rather it
want to?
sort of be ambiguous in that sense of why are you the way you are? You know, like I would rather sort of be intrigued by what happened to you to make you who you are. And I mean, to this point, we still haven't gotten that answer fully.
The the good news for you is, in terms of like the whole him being ripped out of his family and stuff like that. Obviously, his little sister. Um, is I could be wrong, but I believe that was it. Like I don't believe
See, that doesn't help. That actually makes it worse.
they go back. It doesn't mean they don't in season two, but it's the one thing where I've been like, well, is this something that just gets left, or
That actually makes it worse
when
because
when
at
you
least if there's details and some sort of I don't want to say tying it into the future, but you know, like they made such a big deal about the location and the planet that you sort of assume that that's going to come back around in some form.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you because even I like. I think the important thing here to remember with Star Wars storytelling is, when done right, is you're not always going to get all the answers you want. And one of the ones I wanted was like, well, we know how it ends for him and Jin and company before A
Mm.
New Hope. Um, I'd like him to find his sister. Obviously, clearly with the path he's on, that is not going to be his main mission going forward. But um, I even in come season two, like I would like some resolution there for him. I just don't know if it's ever coming, given the vastness of the Star Wars universe. One of the knocks on Star Wars is how small they make it, and I mean, we've all played either video games or read literature to know how big a fucking galaxy map is. So finding her would not be simple. So, um, but going forward, it's more of how he gets ingrained with the rebellion, which isn't really a rebellion yet. But I will ask you this: so I guess in the first two episodes, you really don't get much of Luthen. What did you think of him, Skarsgård's character?
He's intriguing. You know, he's sort of the what Cassian would have grown up to be character. You know, I I'm intrigued because you know, like we said, you know, the rebellion wasn't just cupcakes and rainbows. You know, and getting to see this sort of um, darkness to it from this side, I think is important. You know, like it sort of became a joke in Star Wars. You know, of the secret activities and the things that they did to get the knowledge and things that they needed to take down the Empire. Like, I mean, many Bothans died is a joke, literally a
Yeah,
joke,
yeah,
and it definitely shouldn't be that way. You know, but that's not a story that we're ever going to see play out. You know, it's just it's a throwaway line that the fan base has turned into a joke. I like the idea that you know this is exposing the underbelly of the rebellion. You know, and showing us some of those dark corners that you didn't shine a light on. You know, not everything was Mon Mothma and Princess Leia and speeches. You know, and just you know sort of guerrilla warfare. There was some things that at best you should call questionable, at worst outright war crimes. You know, and seeing them shines that light that it's not. You know, the good guys don't always just do good things. you know, and I
Nope.
like seeing that.
That's an understatement. um, I I would not be shocked if by the end of this 12 episode first season that Lucen ends up being your favorite character. He's my favorite character without giving.
I can see that, you know, especially with, you know, some of these sort of I don't want to say Easter eggs, but you know, the things you've alluded to happening in the future seem like things that I'm like, yeah, okay, this could be fun.
Oh, the Easter eggs as we get further along.
Oh God.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about too.
Yeah. I'm assuming you're referring to his shop a little bit, and I won't
Uh-huh.
allude anymore. Yeah. um. Yeah. There's a whole other side to this guy, needless to say, and
Is that one of the episodes we're doing here, or is that one of the ones we're not?
I could be wrong, but I think the shop comes up in the very next episode. I believe once we get out of those first three episodes, um, this isn't spoiling much, but like Andor goes on a mission for him.
No, you don't
Not just
say.
it's like a team, and he's with the actress from Game of Thrones who played the I can't remember her name in Thrones, but she's Arya's nemesis for a couple of seasons.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, that's right.
uh, when she's with the Many Faces God. Um, so they're off on their own thing, and then we go and spend a bunch of time on Coruscant with Luthen and I forget the name of the girl who works for him, and Mon Mothma and her husband and daughter, and then there's obviously massive Imperial implications. Another Game of Thrones actor is actually involved with that. Fuck, what was his name? Qyburn. That's it. Qyburn plays a pretty big role in this. So, but yes, when they get to his shop, have your eyes open because I know you've played a lot of Star Wars games and stuff, and all sorts of fun Easter eggs once you get to his shop. And that the next one we're doing is episode 6 next week, which is the end of the next 3 episode arc. But the 2 episodes leading up to it are vitally important, um, from both perspectives, right? Like um, from Andor's and from Lucen's. So I do think the series will be more in your wheelhouse now moving forward. I don't know how Randy feels about the arc with Andy Serkis. I loved Andy Serkis's character, but there's parts of that arc that I'm iffy on.
I enjoyed it for what it was, but also, yeah, it wasn't perfect by any means. But the the acting, the fact that the character development to the point of where you actually start liking some of these guys, and yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at with that. Um, I'm still, it's not bad, but not great. But it does its job to get you invested.
Yeah, very much so. So, for those of you that tuned into this, there's more review in here at one point than I thought there'd be. Um, Thanks for joining us. Same bat channel, same bat time next week for episode 6 of season 1 of Andor. Our homework between now and then is to brush up on 4 and 5. And we will see you next week. Until then, may the Force be with you.